There we go. Recording is in session should be, right? Yeah. I don't see it. Make sure. Yep, recording. Sorry about that, y'all. You know, I like, thank you for my reminders and my friendly suggestions. So we are recording, so just missed the first section, but we'll get the legislative pieces in, and then I might come back. Second bullet, had to think about where I was. So each school district must establish a process for allowing for the parent of or guardian of a student who fails to perform satisfactorily on an assessment to make a request for district consideration. That the student be assigned to a particular classroom teacher. All right, put her on. Karen, do you got a question? I'm putting you on mute. There we go. All right. So a parent or guardian can choose a teacher to be assigned, and when receiving accelerated instruction, a student cannot be removed from the following. So it cannot happen instruction in the foundation curriculum area and enrichment curriculum for the grade level in which the student is enrolled, recess or physical activity that is available to other students enrolled at the same grade level. So just knowing that there are certain points of time where they cannot be pulled for accelerated instruction. And so really knowing that if they still fail to perform satisfactorily on an assessment and who is promoted to the next grade must be assigned to the appropriately certified teacher who meets all state and federal qualifications. So really knowing where those students are. And then got one more on 45. I want to say one more, maybe two, choose two. So within this, we also will establish and administer a strong foundations grant program for campuses or programs where students are enrolled in pre-kindergarten through grade 5 to implement a rigorous school approach that combines high quality instruction, materials, and support structures. So that really says that there will be opportunities to receive funding to operate some of your programs and your services per these components from the commissioner program, looking at those materials, the curriculum, the tools, the diagnostics, and those professional supports as we go in part of that. So those foundations can be can be in the form of funds, in-kind services, or both. So there's a lot of info provided out there on 4545. If there are questions, please send those in so that we can get those out to others and to that group and really get that. And then I will definitely return and put those into on our website, and then also put those out there. So there's an overview, and as I said, you have the PowerPoint, so those links are live. There's an overview, implementation overview, and then looking at the supplemental accelerated instruction materials. Then there's a webinar series that they've been going through, so that I've included the link to the playlist there. And then you have your frequently asked questions included, and then that is the link for if you have questions. So just know those students who did miss the start because they just didn't come in, they still are a part of this process, and they still have that opportunity, as I stated earlier, if you want to do a test it's almost like an optional test out process if they can master that and not go through accelerated instruction. So all of those are in the conversation. All of that is also in the FAQ. So feel free to throw those. If you have other questions, throw those in the chat. I will grab those. I might not be able to answer them today, but I will definitely make sure that we get the right answer and then post them for us. Right. See nothing in the chat at the moment. All right, and I included still Senate Bill 1697. And this is where allow parents or guardians to elect for a student to repeat or retake a course or a grade. So that was effective this summer also, June 16th. So that went in effect. So a parent or guardian can allow for their child to repeat pre-kindergarten, enroll in pre-kindergarten if they would have been eligible during the previous school year, repeat kindergarten, also enroll in kindergarten if they would have been eligible. And in those in grades 1 through 3, repeat the grade in which the student was enrolled during this previous school year. So if those students had that issue, and those parents was like, I just felt that they lost a lot in our COVID year of in, out, mostly out for some districts, they had that opportunity to repeat or retake that course or that grade is an opportunity. Now, for grades 4 through 8, they can still also do the repeat of those courses and those grades, and then a course taken for high school credit, repeat any course in which the student was enrolled during the previous school year. So this is really just looking at for those within the last school year. So not the 2019-2020, but the 2021 school year, and looking at that, how students were, but that truly big gap year we had. Now, the school or open enrollment charter school, if they disagree with the parent or guardian selection, they may convene a retention committee and meet with the parent or guardian to discuss the retention. So a student may not be retained for a grade or retake a course under this section if the parent or guardian does not meet with the retention committee. So you also have, districts also have opportunity to make those decisions. I know at this time, most of those decisions should have been made since school has started. And then the next bill is House Bill 3979. And before I go from 1697, were there any questions on that one? Once again, if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I will definitely get them answered for you. So House Bill 3979 is our social studies in public schools. There's a lot of information here, and so I'm going to kind of capitalize on, I'm not going to read all of this to you. So basically, the State Board of Education must review and revise the TEKS for social studies before December 31st, 2022. So they have the school year to devise and to revise the social studies curriculum. And the following they're going to be looking at to add into the curriculum is with student civic knowledge on fundamental moral, political, and intellectual foundations of the American experiment in self-government. Our civic engagements, our history of Native Americans, and then looking at the processes of our government institutions from the federal, state, and the local levels. They're going to be looking at specific historical documents related to civic accomplishments, the history of white supremacy, the history and importance of the civil rights movement. So those are some documents and things that will be a part of the new standards as they go forth and go into those conversations and looking at those pieces. So you'll have that list of the documents that they are wanting to include. Now, for any social studies course in the required curriculum, a teacher may not be compelled to discuss a particular current event or widely debated and currently controversial issue of public policy or social affairs. So really knowing what you may talk about or what you may not talk about. A teacher who chooses to discuss a current event or widely debated and currently controversial issue of public policy or social affairs must, to the best of the teacher's ability, to strive to explore the topic from diverse and continuing perspectives without giving deference to any one perspective. So really take the time to know if you're going, what you're teaching about, what you're talking about, and having an open conversation and not coming from it from one side, but multiple sides, multiple perspectives. We like that word in GT, multiple perspectives. And as we conversate about those, and you are not the initiator of those conversations, and you are not required to engage in training, orientation, or therapy that represents any form of race or sexual stereotyping or blame on the basis of race or sex. So I think this last couple of pieces on House Bill 3979 really is the pieces that we really need to make sure that we are talking about it. For those who are at the secondary level, knowing to the extent of students' activism, specifically political and lobbying, what you can and cannot mandate and requires a part of their participation, and public policy advocacy or social advocacy. So really be careful on what you're asking students to do, and if it's part of your course or your grade or your coursework. So really thinking about those pieces in your curriculums as we are moving forward. So this goes through the comprehensive list of what you cannot require or make a part of any course, which in those following concepts. And so there's a lot there. I'm not going to read them all. But as I also want to make sure that you have it, that you see it, and that you know it. If there's further questions as we go, as I stated earlier, the State Board of Education has the goal, the role to further expound on these things and go into deep and really what does this mean? And then what are those actions? And so just really knowing what we can and we cannot talk about. As we were, I met with the ESC leadership last week, and as we were talking, I know some of you have asked earlier also about some of our TPSP top tasks. If there are specific tasks that you're concerned about, please shoot me those, because we are thinking how to revise those to make them either to put the caveat that this is truly controversial, or we always have that option to remove it from the website. So I do have that option. So really thinking about that, if there's one that you really feel iffy about, even if a student does that self-select, please reach out and let me know, and then we will always good to pivot and rethink and redevise as we go forward. That is 3979. And then the latest one, which came out in second session of the summer, is Senate Bill 15. And this one is on virtual instruction. And so it does give districts and charter schools the ability to establish and or continue full-time virtual learning and to receive attendance funding for that. So basically they have control over their programs and how to provide those options to your districts, and then making sure that your parents are ensured that option if they want that. So, but it does expire in September 1st, 2023. At that point in time, the legislature will reconsider, see if they will need to extend that. So just think of this as we are in pilot season with districts having full-time virtual options and programs. Also with Senate Bill 15, so those candidates who are working on their certification requirements and those internships can also do that through a remote learning program also. So that it also expires September 1st, 2023. And then there are a plethora of information on Senate Bill 15 that is coming out. When you look at the Senate Bill 15 overview, you will see a list of upcoming webinars on the different instructional practices, different opportunities as they come conversate. They have one Friday, but that one has not posted yet. But when it does, I will make sure that we get a link to you for that. So the next link on this page is also on the non-Texas Virtual School Network remote learning or remote instruction. So a couple of highlights from that document that's available on the website is basically LAA must provide gifted and talented education programs for eligible students to receive. So I know a lot of you are wondering, if we go to a remote instruction, do we have to provide GT services? So yes. So you will find it there. So if you need to take that to your leadership or to someone else, and then your allotment, your funding still stays the same. It'll still be in effect. And so it really will not hinder or so they can't say you don't have funding for that. 7:15, no. So as you know, and as we went out a couple of weeks, probably at the beginning, maybe at the end. So I'm looking at Jennifer's question. Are they defining virtual and remote as the same or different? Let me find out on that one, Jennifer, because I really want to make sure I give you clear guidance, because I'm wondering, because if you notice, let me go back. Senate Bill 15 refers to remote learning. And then we have remote learning and remote instruction. And sometimes you will think the one and the same is the same, but then you know someone else's interpretation who is totally different. So I will take that question and I will make sure I get an answer and response for that. So thank you. We will find out if I will get clear guidance on how do they determine these things? Is it virtual? Is it remote? Or are they the same? Yes, I will find out. So I hope everyone received the to the administrator address letter. If not, there is a link on the page. So it did announce the GT allotment, which is the 0.07. We will be coming up with that allotment amount. I'm waiting for our state finance department, state funding, to provide me with that list. The basic allotment allocation, which is still posted on the GT education page, is still available. It is still applicable, and it is still there. So when we look at House Bill 1525, which is a part of what enabled and brought back our GT allotment, it brought in those pieces there. And so really, this is another part of it where they were looking at the school, our funding, our programs, and then also looking for funding for our PTEC, our Pathways Networks, and our GTEC. GTEC JET grant program. So some of those other learning programs that you're probably in charge of, especially for our secondary, and some of our CTE got extra funding in this process also. And so really looking at that. So kind of going back into our house, the GT allotment. So basically, and I'm going to, we got our basic allotment, which is multiplied by that 0.7. We're still at the 5% of a district's ADA. It must be used in providing GT programming. Mustn't be accounted for in expenditure of state funds. And accountability is using your program intent code 21. And that last part, which has always been there, in different versions, must refund the allotment if the district fails to implement a GT program. So that's the high level of what it did for us. All right, I see. Okay, I will. Thank you. So in a nutshell, what GT funding should look like. So you should still, and we're going with the legislative intent and the goal, and we really, really came out with our clear language, and hopefully it was clear. If not, hopefully this will help. So you have your basic allotment allocation that is in the basic allotment, those funds there, that 0.12. That's why that's still posted. That is why it's still applicable. plus when you add in your GT allotment, the 0.07. So those are your truly designated funds, specific amount, not part of the basic, is specifically GT. That equals out to your total GT funding, and then I forgot to add in if you have your own local funds that go into this. So it is a combination of the both. So it's not just the GT allotment. Now, I want to make this clear with the basic allotment allocation is really thinking, a lot of districts had an issue with that allotment. It varied from district to district. Some, with the bare minimum, some went to their full max extent. Some went to, if it's not designated like an allotment, you have nothing. So hopefully we have gotten to the point where there is a true understanding and a true balance of funds for your programs and for your services as we go into this. And I have heard, and then I know that some says the finance side needs to hear the same things. And so I will work with my finance team here at the agency and those departments to see if they can also reiterate this guidance. That's why, as you saw when we sent it out, it just did not come out from GT. It came out from us and our financial compliance and state funding. So I'm looking. So I see the questions about the remote conferencing. I will add that on to short-term remote option for, okay, got it. Good question. Is it for full-time, long time, 6 weeks, or you're quarantined for 2 weeks? Gotcha. All right. So at this point in time, budget spending is 100% of your funding, 100%. There is, for those who've been around for a moment, there was indirect costs. Everything needs to be tied back to direct costs to GT. So as you look at that and how does that work, really going into that. Got it. And then we'll make sure you got a good link on the GT funding. And if there's an issue, I will make sure I will find it. Thank you for those who have posted it. All right, I think we got all questions. I'm not sure she's on. So I'm thinking I got all questions answered so far. Any shout outs, any happenings out there that you want to talk about? I was looking for Paulina. I'm not seeing her on my list. Rain, do you want to come off mute to talk about your virtual college program?
I'm not sure what virtual college program you're talking about.
Well, arrange budget. We have 228 signed up for our virtual college admissions panel tonight.
Oh, you know what? That's funny because I signed up. I copied Rain's link over, so it must be showing me as her. That's hysterical. So
it has my name by your picture, Michelle.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I love that. So I can go incognito for the rest of these. I'll just use your link. But anyway, we are, and we've been doing this for a couple of years. We invite several of the college admissions officers from colleges and universities that are popular with our students. Typically not A&M or UT, but a lot of the others. And they, in the last year, have been obviously doing this virtually, and we found that we get much better participation when they're doing it virtually. So we are hosting that this evening and have about 6 colleges represented, and we used a new platform to advertise it, where when people add it to their calendar, we can see that they're coming. And so we have 228 people who have added it to their calendar, and we anticipate will be attending that. And we just talk about things like, what is your organization looking for in the ideal student to fit your college or university. Talk about what is the strength of schedule in terms of how does that play into the admissions process. What is the value of a letter of recommendation, and when should you have it, and when is it not required, and just some of those kinds of questions. And it's been very well received by our community for the last couple of years.
Sounds great. All right. Well, good luck tonight. I know it will be a great turnout, a great event. All right. Anyone else want to talk about what's going on? Got a couple minutes. Always know that you have the opportunity to share. Are there any other questions, wonderings, wonderings that we could talk about? I will give you time. I know I went through a lot, and I know it was deep info. Is there any other bills that you would like to know about during this session? So, Michelle, question, follow-up. Do you get colleges from outside of Texas?
So what we try to do is we try to look at our direct to college data and figure out where our kids going, and pull from the most popular places. We do have Rochester that comes because they have a rep that's local. But for the most part, it is Texas Tech, Texas State. We'll have Concordia, Southwestern, Baylor, just trying to get St. Ed's, trying to get a mix of public and private, large and small, urban and suburban. But really, it's just, when the kids are going through this process, what are the colleges looking for, and what advice can they give about how to best market themselves to the college or university that they're interested in. So it's pretty open-ended for them to ask questions and seek that advice. But we haven't really looked at pulling in a lot of people from out of state, because so many of our kids do stay in Texas, with us being in the middle of the state. Even if a kid goes to Lubbock, they're going 6 hours away. So they're still getting away from home without ever leaving the state.
Yep. That's true. All right. Thank you for that follow-up. I'm looking at Culver's question. When will language about minimum number of projects be out? I've heard the number will jump to 4, and I'm assuming, because I know we have never put any guidance out on the number of projects the district should do. We react locally, and I'm assuming that's probably addressing the CTE, because I do think they may have changed their numbers. If there's any follow-up to that or specifics, let me know, Culver, and I will find that out. But I leave that decision for projects or tasks. If you're talking to PSP or your innovative products or projects in a district, that's a local district decision. So I'm gonna leave that one there. But if it's CTE, I will get an answer for you for that one. On the slide, if you need to sign up for the newsletter or any newsletter, I do recommend that you sign up. Here's the link. I do recommend that you sign up for my GT Education Advanced Academics. They put out one a little bit more regularly. And then for those who are not aware, some of their funding did go up. So there are some more benefits for our students with Advanced Academics. And then also to the administrator address, so that some of those things that come out, that you will get that. If you're looking at Texas Home Learning, they chip in those instructional models and those high quality materials. They are putting out regular correspondence also. And so please do sign up. And finally, If you need to reach me, find me. Here's my email, my both emails actually, and my phone number. You can reach me at 512-475-0626. And just so I hope that everyone has a great day, a great week. I know I gave you a lot to think about. Hopefully, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out and send them in. But otherwise, I want to say thank you and have a great day. And then if you need something, please reach out. I am here. I typically try to make sure I clear out my email daily. So have a great one, everyone.